Who are the Anglo-Saxons anyway? There isn't a country called Anglo-Saxonia on the world map. Is there really some kind of collective hostile West that wants to enslave the whole world? And what role does the City of London play in all this? The stronghold of the world's main bankers? A state within a state on a square mile in the very heart of Greater London. In this episode, we will answer these questions step by step and in detail. And by the end of the episode, your view of the world will most likely be different from before. So, let's get started. Not so long ago, in February, there was a session of the International Court, the grand jury of the Court of Public Opinion, known as Nuremberg 2. It's not exactly a powerful official body like the Hague Court. The status of this second Nuremberg is more like a public conference. A group of lawyers led by the well-known German attorney Dr. Rainer Füllmich set out to put an end to the criminal actions of government officials and international organizations, as well as business representatives, committed and being committed under the guise of fighting the pandemic. At the first stage, 6 suspects in the crimes have been identified. German virologist and head of the Institute of Virology, Christian Drosten, chief medical advisor to the American President Anthony Fauci, head of the WHO Tedros Ghebreyesus, Bill Gates, the American financial holding BlackRock, and the American pharmaceutical corporation Pfizer. All of this might seem like just another gathering of conspiracy theorists, if not for one thing. One of the speakers was the Englishman Alex Thompson, a former officer of the British Government Communications Headquarters, who gave an overview of the history of the plan's preparation. The Great Reset, which began a century before Schwab, almost a century and a half ago in Great Britain. The speaker introduced himself as follows. My name is Alex Thompson. For 8 years, I was an officer of the British Government Communications Headquarters, an agency partnered with the NSA. There, I was the secretary for the former Soviet Union and decrypted intercepted materials in all languages, including Russian and German. In the second half of this period, I was also a member of an interdisciplinary group on chemical, biological, radiological, and nuclear threats. And then he said words that shocked many. I claim that it is the City of London, the financial heart of the British Empire, that is the dominant force in the world. The City of London still has a special legal status apart from the other 32 London boroughs and is actually not part of Greater London. Its privileges were established back in the Magna Carta of 1215. Its self-government has never been challenged. Many times in its history, it held power over the British Crown and, therefore, over a large piece of land, notes an English intelligence officer. Since around 1870, the financial capital of the city has established its dominance over the world. The city controls not only Britain, but the entire British Commonwealth. Specifically, the governing body of the City of London is the Privy Council. One of the most powerful banks in the City of London, HSBC, dates back to the times of the Chinese opium trade. HSBC and other city banks have been involved in dirty business from the very beginning. Their leaders and owners were outright criminals. From the very beginning, the dominance of city financial capital was based on money, debt, and the financing of criminal trades in opium, slaves, and weapons. However, even then, the financial magnates of the city understood that the power of their money was limited in time and that they needed to think about the future. Financial power was to be replaced by a power based on the intellectual superiority of Anglo-Saxon rulers over all peoples, including their own, on the ability to control the minds of the masses, and on limiting other nations' access to the benefits of scientific and technological progress. A special role in reshaping the psychology and ideology of London as a world center was played by John Ruskin, an English writer, artist, and art theorist. While teaching at Oxford, he preached from his university chair a doctrine according to which the British elite was obliged to export its worldview to all countries of the world. His student and follower was Cecil Rhodes, the future ideologist of British imperialism, who became fabulously wealthy from diamond mining in South Africa. In 1891, he created a secret society in Britain called the Round Table to prepare and implement a plan for establishing British rule over the world. Later, around this secret core, second-tier organizations of the Round Table Group were created, covering the United States and 7 other countries. The Rhodes Scholarship Fund was established to train students capable of carrying out British policy in different countries and on different continents. Recruitment of promising young people was carried out at Oxford, Cambridge, and other British universities. Lord Arnold Toynbee and Lord Alfred Milner became loyal followers of Rhodes. Here is what Cecil Rhodes wrote in his diaries. "Why don't we create a secret society with the sole purpose of advancing the British Empire and bringing the entire civilized world under British rule? The true goal and purpose of creating the secret society is to spread British rule throughout the entire world. The colonization by British subjects of all lands where a livelihood can be achieved through energy, labor, and enterprise. And especially the occupation by British settlers of the entire African continent, the Holy Land, the Euphrates Valley, the islands of Cyprus and Kendi, all of South America, and the islands of the Pacific Ocean that have not yet belonged to Great Britain, the entire Malay archipelago, which is south of China and Japan, and the final restoration of the United States of America as an integral part of the British Empire. This plan for world domination had two parts: to consolidate the Anglo-Saxon world, to subjugate the rest of humanity. The main stronghold here was precisely the City of London, a state within a state, thinly concealed behind the facades of international banks. What is the Anglo-Saxon world? First of all, it's the United Kingdom, England, Scotland, Wales, and Northern Ireland. Secondly, there are 4 English-speaking countries where the population is predominantly Anglo-Saxon: the United States, Canada, Australia, and New Zealand. Thirdly, there are the countries of the British Commonwealth, and besides Canada, Australia, and New Zealand, that's another 51 countries including India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Nigeria, and others. The Commonwealth accounts for 30% of the world's population and 21% of its density. At first glance, it seems like all of this is some kind of clumsy parody of the much-publicized Freemasonry that the media talks about, and that makes everyone smirk. However, here's an interesting fact. In 1953, a certain Norman Dodd, an American banker, was the chief expert of a special committee investigating the activities of tax-exempt American foundations. This investigative committee was founded by U.S. Congressman Carroll Reese, so it is usually called the Reese Committee. So, Norman Dodd had access to secret documents and uncovered many unexpected things about America's largest charitable foundations: Carnegie, Rockefeller, and Ford. The founders of these foundations were followers of Rhodes's idea. They fought for the creation of a unified Anglo-Saxon empire. In their opinion, for the Anglo-Saxons to conquer the world, it was necessary to change the mindset of other uncivilized peoples. And the best means for this could be war. Wars are not only a means of territorial expansion.
Захватов. Последователи Ротса считали, что важнее.
Norman Dodd, as in 1909.
Карнеги, как выяснил Норман Додд, на тайных заседаниях.
The question of how to involve the United States in the war. The Rockefeller and Ford foundations played a significant role in preparing for World War II and involving the United States in it. In their opinion, this war was supposed to contribute to the formation of a unified Anglo-Saxon spirit and world. There is another illustrative example: Canada. In the mid-19th century, it seemed that Canada would adopt its own Declaration of Independence from the British Crown, similar to the American Declaration of 1776. But thanks to the support of the British agent John Alexander MacDonald, in 1867, a constitution was adopted that legalized the creation of a united Canada from 4 provinces as a dominion of Britain. MacDonald said that he was born a Briton and wanted to die a Briton. These are the words of the first Prime Minister of sovereign Canada, which for supporters of sovereignty were seen as a cynical betrayal. Cecil Rhodes's secret round table included a group in the United States and in Canada. At the end of the 19th century, Wilfrid Laurier became the Prime Minister of Canada. He wanted to free the country from British influence, but in 1911, he was overthrown. Subsequently, Laurier openly wrote, "Canada is now governed by a junta sitting in London, known as the Round Table, with branches in Toronto, Winnipeg, and Victoria." The Round Table brought the government under complete control, even in Britain itself. From 1908 to 1916, the Prime Minister of Britain was Herbert Henry Asquith. Then he was replaced by the obedient David Lloyd George. who was told what the terms of the Treaty of Versailles should be. The main public figure representing the conspirators of the Round Table was Lord Milner, represented by Lloyd George. In the United States, such a figure was Colonel Edward Mandell House, represented by Woodrow Wilson. Bernard Baruch, well known to us from previous episodes, was introduced to President Franklin Roosevelt. He also mentored the next president, Truman. So what does this mean? Did London manage to bring the US under its control?
Конечно, этот вопрос не так прост, как кажется. Обычно США ставят на первое место по экономическим показателям. При этом не учитывают такое очевидное.
Fact. In the second half of the 20th century, another invisible empire replaced the British colonial empire. Have you guessed what it's called? That's right, the Offshore Empire. Most of the supposedly independent offshore jurisdictions are controlled by the City of London and the Bank of England. They also overlook and underestimate the role of Britain's secret societies and British intelligence services. For example, these 5 countries, Great Britain, the USA, Canada, Australia, and New Zealand, have had consolidated intelligence activities since 1930, known as the Five Eyes. Or, for example, there are also the Crown Agents, a structure with a long and dark history. It's a tool for managing the empire's colonial infrastructure. This secret global network has a public face: the Crown Agents Foundation. As always, this seemingly harmless non-profit organization acts as the founder of a huge number of business structures. Members of this Crown Agents Foundation include Standard Chartered Bank, one of the oldest and most influential banks in the City of London, the international corporation Unilever, the International Chamber of Commerce of the United Kingdom, as well as Transparency International, the Royal Commonwealth Society, the Council of Caribbean States, and many other structures and organizations. The geography of Crown Agents' activities and its business structure go far beyond the boundaries of the British Commonwealth. This British Crown Agency is also present in some former Soviet republics. The organization's activities are referred to as consulting services. These services cover healthcare, agriculture, foreign trade, customs, banking, and domestic trade. Crown Agents' employees place their own people in key positions in government institutions and recruit some locals to their side. Until the end of the 20th century, the main tool of global Anglo-Saxon expansion was the money of the banks of the City of London. They worked on preparing wars, revolutions, economic crises, and other upheavals. Today, territorial conquests of the old type have faded into the background, and money as a tool has taken second place. Could it be that the events of the past 2 years are just a smokescreen covering up the implementation of a plan to create a global Anglo-Saxon empire? Now is the perfect time to check the comments below this episode and see the experts' opinions. Give this episode a fair rating, it's very important to us. And see you next time on our channel.